Everything.
We're live.
Hello, hello, hello.
So we're on Facebook, YouTube. Anyone else is watching, we're doing a kind of an off the cuff video.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
We both find somewhat. I don't even know how to talk about this video.
It's just this people. Well, some people will be on the same boat as us. Others will be, I'm leaving this group. I'll never see you again. I'll crying out for this. But
Well, the topic kind of is, as you can see from the thumbnail, is we're talking about the homeless problem. Yakima specifically, because we live, but really the homeless problem is kind of global. So I took 90 days, and being here, we're downtown Washington, downtown Yakima, and there seems to be quite a bit of a homeless population. And part of the question they asked is, what causes the homeless problem? What's the solution? And can it actually be fixed? So you've been here for a while. What do you see? How prior to the pandemic, was the homeless problem pretty persistent then?
yeah, homeless has been an issue in my life for quite some time. So, I mean, I'm born and raised here. So, but I would say it's getting more frequent. We're seeing it more and more and more, and it seems like the longer that we're here, it's just you're just more. You just see more of it. I mean, all the underpasses are being taken over. Where it used to be, we used to know where the majority of them were homeless.
Well, that's kind of right now. As we leave here, when we leave the office, right out in front of Washington, there would be homeless people camped out there with their sleeping bags, under basically whatever they can find, I guess, the county north.
Or nothing at all.
Yeah, I guess that's the debate. Guys, if anybody's interested, you should see at the bottom of the screen scrolling. If you text the word debate, 866-349-5488, that'll put you on a list. And we actually might have a real debate about this with some actually educated individuals. Because I don't consider myself educated.
Right. So if you text that, you join the debate. Debate is essentially whatever debate subject we want to talk about. Right. Because we're going to do more than just this, but the debate is just when we invite you in. Hopefully, I maybe we're going to, but we can do anything we have.
Yeah, fuck that. No remote debates.
No remote?
No, everybody's a warrior on the team.
Oh, okay.
We post something in the Facebook group. We said, homelessness is the worst thing in the world. Everyone's got a comment.
Oh, yeah.
And I think because they've got the power of the internet, they can go Google the responses. Yeah. Really, it's not even they're warriors. And it's not even people are warriors. It takes a step further because they're not thinking for themselves. They're going on Google, they're typing something in and regurgitating, which is fine. It's a learning tool, but the point of the debate, you get people in here that are willing to conversate respectfully with different opinions and different views. And we want to have debate on things like, obviously, the homeless problem, substance abuse, the whole transgender world, the LGBTQ. I don't even know what I'm not the most educated individual in these topics, but I feel like people could offer it. I wish I could see. There's a comment there, but it's so far away. Can you see that comment? Somebody commented. Let's see if I can put it on here. Yes, okay. Yeah. Compulsive. You're having audio issues. Compulsive. Is anybody else hearing audio issues? Well, I guess we can test that out. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That was mutual. Please stand by. We're just checking it out. And if nobody else can hear this, can you hear us on discrepancy in our audio? Please let us know. So, so you're still here? Thanks for testing out the audio. But yeah, as you can see on the screen here, text debate 866-349-5488.
I'm not sure what the audio issues are.
Yeah.
So if you're still hearing audio issues, that would be fantastic. Tony, tell people so I'll go there and check the audio on the main board. So we want to talk about having individuals come on here, have debate on all kinds of topics, basically from the left and the right side, which is called yeah. I hate to make it political, but it's always going to be political. It is. The left and the right.
Correct. There's always going to be a divide in people, and that's what we're looking forward to have a conversation with. It's not to pick on one or the other, but it is actually sit down as simple as possible and just have a real conversation about this. Both sides, both views, right here on the table. We'll bring you up to the table. Nobody's going to lose. We're just going to have a good conversation. And you come in as friends, and you leave as friends. So, but yeah, so we're going to keep on talking about that. We're going to talk about any kind of situation that we have. So, whether it's political, whether it's local, national, we can talk about stuff. But sitting on topics around here, around the Yakima Valley, right now we're talking about homeless issues. But yeah, you want to just text debate at 866-349-5288. So if you do that, then you can actually come to our studio and conversation. Yeah, over there, he's off screen, just trying to fix issues.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's super good. I think maybe it was awesome.
Let's rely on audio. Fixed it. I did click on the noise cancellation tab, so maybe that fixed it. Yeah. So
anyway, as we were talking a few minutes ago, one topic we really want to talk about, especially today, is crisis. It is a crisis. A lot of people say it's a family crisis. Well, yeah, but Yakima, it's starting to get the trickle effect, actually, the flooding effect, because it seems like there's more transits, homelessness, security. And it's not all about just losing a job, being down on the luck. So yeah, the other day we were walking down the Washington, and we went outside, and Jimmy John's right there on the corner, and they had this big ball up there. This art piece. Yeah. Yeah. Big old art piece. If anybody knows Yakima, you see that little sphere out there. Anyway, there's this guy behind it. He's just all up there, all the high stuff, just
all just doing his own thing, man. And it's just like, what's the barrier? What's the stop? What are we gonna do? I mean, we could get mad, get off there.
They're not gonna do it. So what's the shit?
what I see the most problem is a lot of people jump to displacing individuals, displacing like they lost their jobs, they're down and out with some bad luck, and I just don't think that's good. At least I know there's some people out there that have lost their jobs and they're being displaced. They might be homeless, they might be with friends and family. But the true homeless problem, homeless crisis, really, to me, it seems like it's more individuals that either have severe mental health issues, and severe voices, schizophrenia, things of that nature, and drug addiction, and laziness. Let's just call it, and laziness on top of it.
Yeah, I think that's hand in hand. I mean, when you are, a drug addict or you are mental person and illness, you're going to be you're not going to want to as a job. Let's just face it. Let's just sit here and name it. Still get some back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
But you have the homeless issues. You have where people are on drugs. But and then you have people who lost their jobs. During the COVID time, you had people who lost a lot of jobs, even though with the stimulus checks and everything you get, you're going to have to run a clock. When that expired, how many people actually live homeless? You know, you have people who are out there by choice. You have people out there by
drugs. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons why there is homeless, but the problem is that there's so much of it. And like Dan was saying, majority of it is not people who lost their jobs, at least not around here, not that I see. And if you want percentages, well, you almost lost the TV, but anyway, sorry, the screen went down over there. So I don't think that the majority of us are going to be here upset about our conversation because most people need to be reality with it. Is when you go downtown and you see all this homeless, you don't go, "Oh, let me help them," or the majority of people. There are those who do, but the majority of people they don't do nothing, and they're saying the same thing that we're going to say today. That they're just too afraid to say on a public forum. Put it that way. They can say it with their friends. They can be those warriors behind keyboards. Everything that's not up front. But that's not what we're talking about today because we're going to bring this up front, good, bad, and ugly.
I think I fixed the audio, guys. Let me know if anybody's hearing that can chime in. I think we had stream running in 2 different places. I'm not sure how that happened, but I just listened to it from a third party device and it sounded fine. So if somebody's watching, please let us know. But yeah, everything Tony was saying,
somebody said something there.
Oh, somebody said something.
Yeah,
let's go over here.
Yep.
So when Tony and I both are on the air, unfortunately, we don't have an engineer running, so we're doing everything on our own. Good now. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
So sorry about that. I'm glad we tested it because this is as you guys can tell, this is a completely new setup in the studio. We redid everything.
Yeah. It's awesome.
New tables. We have the audio, video cameras are hanging from the ceiling and stuff now, so it's a little bit different.
Yep.
But this is a topic that's hard to talk about because you can very easily, you can knock people off of your fan base very quick.
Oh, for sure.
And in the social media world where we're trying our hardest to get people to enjoy the content we put out, problem is now people, oh my God, they have views that do not align with my own, so I'm going to outcast them and never talk to them again.
Right.
So, I guess those are the people we don't want. Well, actually, we do want people to listen.
I love haters.
But let's be clear, I don't have an issue with homeless people. I wish there was a solution. And I don't feel there's a solution. New York tried it. They tried, look, you can offer free housing to all of these people. You can give housing, you can offer everything. The problem is ultimately they're not going to, most of the people, if you take them off the street and put them into a free house, they're going to be right back out on the street. They don't want to conform to rules. And it's not that they don't want to conform to rules. You're taking somebody that's been addicted to drugs, addicted to a social lifestyle for a long time. And then you're like, all right, we've got a house for you to come and live, free rent, free this, free that. All you got to do is not use drugs and abide by a curfew. Well, you're fucked. They're not going to do it.
No.
Most of them are not going to do it. There are a few that have overcome the odds and overcome adversity. And those are the ones that I would love to hear and talk to because, part of the channel is showing that if you put your mind to something, you can overcome it. But if the solution is let's provide all of these assets to these individuals without any accountability on their own, I just don't know how to fix the situation.
You can't fix the situation. All the majority of those people who are confined or trying to follow those rules, they just break them anyway. And the only reason they're usually there is because it just benefits them for their own time. The homeless have their whole entire own society. It is there's art matriarch. If that's the word I want to use,
like the president.
They have a president's club, man.
We got a homeowners association.
It's like thou shalt not pass.
Your tent has too many zippers on it.
Sorry, you're the covenants say that you have to have 2 zippers.
Look at what just happened in Seattle, the encampment there.
Oh, nobody's seen that, man. Check the news. That's national, right there.
Big explosion.
And freeway.
And what they're coming to terms with is it was likely a rival encampment because I guess there's a lot of drugs being sold through these encampments.
Of course.
And there was a rival encampment that lit the other encampment on fire and kaboom. And this is on private property where these encampments are built, and now they're already rebuilt. The fire it's still like smoldering, and they're already
It's still
putting
hot. Yeah.
they're already putting up new tents. And a lot that's crazy. These encampments, these guys, they're not necessarily people that are broken poor. These are people that want to live off the grid. They don't want to do it like out in the wilderness. They want to live off the grid. They want to do it where they can go like basically.
They want their cake and eat it too. That's
they want to pillage. They want to
yeah.
They want to get water. They want all the free stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're putting up surveillance cameras on their tents.
Mm-hmm.
The individuals that live in the homeless grounds are putting up their own surveillance to protect their stuff from other, vagabonds, other homeless individuals, which to me is just crazy because you can't. I mean, what's the solution? It keeps coming back to what's the fix. I don't really think there is one that this country is ready to do. And I don't want to say what I think the answer is because I'll definitely get canceled forever.
Yeah.
But it's not the answer that I think should happen. I don't believe we should eradicate homeless people. I don't think there should be like put them on an island or pull some of what happened way back in the past. But the reality is we keep talking about all of the assistance. People are making sandwiches. People are doing all the stuff to them, and that's great. But we've all learned, you give a man a fish, he's gonna be hungry forever. You teach a man how to fish, he'll never go hungry again. Exactly. So we're not giving them much accountability. We're just kind of,
But wait, but there'll be places out there that will say, hey, we do offer X amount of services. We do provide mental health services. We do help with training, replacing. We do help with food. We do help with all this stuff. But that's not the point.
Do they really?
So even if they do that, which they do, that's still not the solution.
I don't even think those services really exist, to be honest. Coming from, I was fortunate, as you know, I went to prison, came out of prison, and I didn't go for a long period of time. So it's not like I came out with nothing. I came out, I still have my mind about me. I had work ethic. I had some skills that I could go in the real world. I've seen a lot of individuals come out of prison that don't have any work skills. A lot of them have only known like dealing drugs. They've only known a life crime, or they just went into the system at such a young age they never even built work ethic. Not making excuses, but the same kind of principle applies in the homeless situation where there's all of these organizations out there that help you find jobs, help you get housing. And a lot of it's such bare minimum stuff that they really offer that you have to be willing to like scale mountains to get it done. If you call up a lot of these so-called associations and charities that offer help,
right? The
limitations is, we only take so many people a month, or we only have so much money to spend. The problem is most of these places are ran by volunteers. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Yakima. What is it called? The group here, Downtown Association.
Downtown.
Downtown Association of Yakima. Whatever day. So that's a great organization that has a lot of network, but most of the people there are volunteers.
Right.
And when you got volunteers, you can only expect so much out of your volunteers.
Right.
You can't push them to the limit or else they're not going to be volunteers.
No. Right. You have some people who are on payroll, obviously, and then you have the rest. They do rely on volunteers on almost any, non-for-profit organization out there. I mean, even if you go to the Yakima Swimming Society, you have the regular doctors and some employees, but they still rely a lot on people to go in there and, volunteer to walk the dogs, volunteer to pet, even play with the dogs or cats, animals. And that's the same thing with downtown. I mean, every single place has volunteers. That's what they rely on.
Yeah, I think the problem is these volunteers in many instances are just not fully equipped with how to handle. Like, what is it? 8-1? Is it 8-1? 988? The lady that was in here.
Oh, man.
The mental health hotline. I think it was 988 or 811.
No,
it wasn't 866.
It was 8 something though.
811. I don't know. I forgot. But there's
they know what it.
There's a national number, kind of similar to 911. Yeah, it's the same thing as 911, but it's for mental health.
Yeah, non-emergency.
Not emergency. No, I think it's for emergencies as well.
Well, I mean,
right. But I think the goal, the answer is the fixed mental health isn't just giving these people out, not putting them at home. I honestly think there's a large part of the community, not just Yakima community, but nationwide communities separate communities that really think that the population of homeless is people that can't afford to live, that they're not making enough money, or they lost their job. Because that's the narrative that's pushed. Because that's an easy narrative to push from either a right side or a left side. Say we're gonna create more jobs. By creating more jobs, we're gonna take more people off the street. The problem is out here, if somebody's sleeping under a bench, they didn't just lose their job.
No,
they probably lost.
And I would see employers going out to the homeless to offer them jobs. This is like, hey, wake up. Hey, you want to come work for us? You know, you don't see that, and it's not going to happen either. But I don't know. There's a lot of different types of situations that can put somebody in a homeless situation, and I know for a fact. But there's so many. You have domestic violence, and we have women's shelter here. YWCA, which is an awesome
program. And a lot of you just brought up a good point, because a lot of the gripes that you get for these shelters is to say people don't feel safe in the shelters. They don't. Right. They feel like they're going to get either raped or mugged. The women don't feel safe in the women's shelters. The homeless don't feel comfortable in the homeless shelters. Could there be some shenanigans going on inside these shelters? I imagine there are. But I also imagine if you're living in a church parking lot or under a bridge, or you're wandering the street in the middle
Safeway
of
parking lot,
that can't be very safe either.
No.
From there's a lot of people out there that will take advantage of people. So if you're watching this video right now and you'd be interested in potentially coming on here to debate some of these topics, or you have a good debatable topic, and I want to keep the topics that are basically high anxiety topics, stuff that's uncomfortable for people.
Stuff that's gonna make your blood boil a little bit.
Stuff that could almost get us canceled.
And the reason why, though, let's just be truthful to everybody's out there. They don't have to agree with us. They can disagree all they want, but the fact is that this is both reality, regardless if you have a solution or a debate you want to talk about, is that the issues that we want to bring up are real freaking issues. And people are too cowardice to sit there and want to really bring it up to the limelight.
I think people are they're afraid that they're going to either look or feel stupid because they're going to get asked something or said something that they don't know how to answer properly, which is a reality. Is something. If you don't know what you're talking about, then you probably shouldn't come. First off, Now you might learn. I think if you're going to come debate, people ask when we posted in the groups about debating. Some of the questions were, "What are we do to maintain people's safety, to make sure that people are attacked?" So I want to be clear: physical threats, bodily injury, bodily harm won't be tolerated.
No.
Now, I'm not. If somebody starts to get upset, if they start to get heated, or they start to get emotional, there is a limit where you let that go to an extent. As long as it becomes you're screaming at somebody, you're shutting down, or you're breaking my equipment. We're not trying to
There's no MMA.
There's no MMA.
That's us.
Unless it's me choking somebody else. I have no intent of trying to hurt somebody's feelings. That doesn't mean your feelings are not going to get hurt. Let's be clear. There's a difference. There's a difference. You can't hurt my feelings. You can talk.
I've seen you cry.
You can make me sad. You can make me cry, but you're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to hurt my feelings. If I have a different view than you, Tony, and you share your view with me, now if I think your view is completely idiotic, I may not use those terms. But if I think your view is idiotic, I can respect the fact that you feel genuine about what you're saying.
Right.
But I'll still, in a very politely way, try to explain why your view is wrong. Not. And again, there is a level of common sense that should come into play.
Yeah.
Just because I'm passionate about my views doesn't make my views right or wrong.
Correct.
And if you're concerned about coming in here and being challenged or being told something or hearing something
this is about.
That's not what we want to do.
That's not what we want to do. That is not what this is about. I mean, all I gotta say is if you want to have a debate in here, you need to put on your grown up pants.
You need to have thick skin,
Skin, and it'll be fun on both parts. There'll be times we can get skin. I mean, that's part of the debate. That's what all debates do. A debate is one side versus another side with argumented points, right? So, I mean, that's what it is. Let's do it.
Compulsive says, my take is most homeless are comprised of people that have burned every bridge in their life.
Yeah.
You know, that's I wouldn't say that it sums up all homeless people. I guarantee you that there is a category for that.
100%. 100%.
Now, mental health is a very real thing. Mental illness is a very real thing. Drug addiction is a very real thing. Not everybody that's addicted to drugs made bad choices. There's plenty of people that hurt their back. They're in car accidents, and a doctor prescribed them oxycodone, Percocets, Schedule II narcotics, prescriptions that they were taking prescribed.
Mm-hmm.
But when the whole
Watched.
when
Yeah.
the whole opioid pandemic was unleashed by big pharma, like uh, OxyContin, when it originally marketed back in, I guess it was the late 90s, early 2000s, when OxyContin hit the market, it was told that it has a 99% non-addictive rate, meaning doctors can prescribe this to their patients with 99% of them not having any addictive properties to it. And that all came out to be a big fucking false lie in the end. That
Yep.
it wasn't big pharma that was pushing it. It was pharmaceutical company sales reps that were training the reps. Basically, look, if anybody's been in any type of sales industry, you came from the
Mhm.
car sales industry.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, in your first day of car sales training, their biggest focus was not on ethics.
No.
Their biggest focus might be ethics on paper.
Right.
Oh, that's you, right?
Hit it over there.
Oh, man, that thing vibrates all the way
I
through
didn't
over
know
here.
that. I know.
So, ethics were a big part of it. And doctors, hospitals, they could sign off on this because they had something from
Oh, that comes from money. Yeah.
it came from money.
It all
So
comes from money.
that same thing kind of applies here. A lot of the individuals that are hooked on drugs, hooked on, maybe they're heroin, maybe it's crack, maybe it's cocaine. It might have started off as a prescription. Now, at some point, people have to, I think, seek the help that's required.
Right.
Do the things that are uncomfortable. Do the things that you want to do. Stop hanging out with certain people. Stop making excuses for why, oh, I was doing fine. My wife left me. I was doing fine until I lost my job. I was doing fine until my kid died. These are all tragic things that happen in our lives, but none of them are a fucking excuse to go fall back to your old ways because, or else, what's the point of going through a struggle if you're just going to, every time shit gets a little tough, you're going to make an excuse for it.
And not to be cliche, but that's what life's about, man. You're gonna have tragedies in your life, and you gotta be able to come over it. I mean, that's what you're here. You had tragedy.
Yeah,
I'm here.
we all
I've
have
had tragedy.
right?
I'm sure almost every. I'm not going to say almost. I'm going to say every single person that's watching, that can hear and see this, has had a tragedy.
At least relevant to their own situation.
Yeah.
There's people that will say, "Oh, well, if you went through what I went through,
Oh,
if I get your life was hard, but if your life was my life,
yeah.
Now, yes, but it's all relevant to what you're used to. Like as a prison consultant, we're going to prison. I've got guys facing 15, 20 years. I've got guys facing 5 years. I've got guys facing 60 to 90. I'll tell you what, the fear and the anxiety of a guy facing 60 to 90 days is the same fear and anxiety of somebody facing 15 or 20 years. So it's relative to your current situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we should judge somebody and say, well, if I came out of it, so can you.
Yeah.
It's a matter of getting the person to see what it is they need to see and hear. And sometimes that's tough love. That's not necessarily through catering everything they need. And that's kind of what this country is doing right now.
Everybody has a story. I mean, it's just like some podcasts that we're talking about. You sit down and you just let somebody just sit there by themselves and just tell a story. Everybody has a damn story. Be more related. Some can be more not as bad. Some can be just horrified. But the point is you gotta get over it. You can't let it get to you. And I know that people are gonna make all excuses, but that goes back to mental health. Okay, so I think we should get this like dice almost. I mean, when we're talking about homeless, we have all these different situations. You have people who choose to be homeless. You have people who are drugs are homeless, like the guy who just made that comment. A lot of that because they were on drugs and they burnt so many bridges that they no longer have a place to stay, and now they're up on the street. So there's that, right? You have people who committed crimes, who family, and there's people who have no family, no friends now. But the thing is it still boils down. People have choices. All I know is I have 3 daughters, and I know I said one thing in my life, I didn't care what it took. My kids would always have a roof over their head and food in their mouth. They may not have had everything their entire life. I guarantee you they had that. And if I had to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, McDonald's, sweeping, I don't care what.
Right, but that does come down to the mental health part of it too, though, Tony, because everybody deals with mental health differently, but there are individuals out there that literally will hear you say that and think that you're outcasting them or ostracizing them because they're not taking care of their families, right? And the problem is that's kind of what we come down to is just because you were able to do it and I was able to do it
Doesn't mean they can.
and if Bob isn't doing it, what's Bob going through? Do you think Bob doesn't want to take care of his kids? I don't really think it's a matter of not wanting to.
No.
Like my neighbor that just took his own life. You know, he had a webmaster's degree. He was building websites, doing all the same stuff you do. He was doing it out of Seattle, making 6 figures a year, and something happened to his mental health. And I don't know what the cause of it is. I'm not that connected to the situation. But he moved back home, moved back to Yakima with his mom. His mom gave him a house. He had a free house, kind of like, help you get on your feet. And whatever his mental health problems were, it's such a taboo subject that people are so say, well, your mental health is fucking full of shit because if I can do it, you should be able to do it. That's not the answer. The answer is how do we make mental health a comfortable topic to talk about without saying, well, just snap out of it.
Yeah.
Now, people do have to take some responsibility, but we got to get them there.
I'm not going to name any names, but there was somebody that was close to me that didn't believe mental health was real. All life. So, brother, let me put it this way: I have a brother who's schizophrenic,
right?
In a bad way. He's been.
Is there a good way?
No, but I'm just saying it's pretty bad. He's in his 60s now and stuff, and he's in a home down here, where they all stay, and a lot of times he's up at the hospital, in there. Then I have another brother on the same subject who was homeless for majority of his life. He's been a drug addict. He lived in San Bernardino, in all these colleges, and dorms, digging through garbage, taking stuff, doing what they do, peddle just for drugs, and doing what they need to do, and now here he is in his 60s and stuff, and now he's a double amputee because of his lifestyle and all that stuff, and now he's in a nursing home, but majority of the time he was homeless. He was a very smart guy. He actually has 3 degrees, and he has 2 masters. He's done all that stuff. He's very intelligent, but yet stupid, and what it had to do with it was drugs. He loved his heroin.
Yeah. I went through a spout with cocaine, which I never did drugs or anything until I turned 40 years old on my 40th birthday and tried cocaine and didn't think I had an addictive personality. And 2 years later, and $80,000 shot out of the pocket, realized that this can grab a hold of anybody when you're not paying attention to it. But the thing is, and again, to bring all this back together, is the point of the videos and the point of the future debates isn't to sit here and say that homelessness is a problem or it's not a problem. It's also not to say that, anything to do about transgender it or shouldn't be. It's about what's the fucking solution.
Yeah.
You talk about homelessness as a problem, as an eyesore, as a problem for your downtown area.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to, if I had family coming into town and there was bringing kids with them, I wouldn't say, hey, kids, go ahead and go run around downtown. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
Right.
Not just because the people are homeless. It's you've got homeless people, there's a high probability that they're on drugs. When anybody's on drugs, they're usually not in a completely sound and sane state of mind.
Right.
Some of these people on meth, things like that, they're on meth for days at a time, where now you've got delirium kicking in. It can antagonize somebody that might be schizophrenic.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all these second and third party issues that happen from the original issue. So when it comes down to is what's the solution to all of this? Everyone will say, oh, the solution, everyone tries to give the Band-Aid answer of what the solution is. And the reality is when you really think about it, you can't build enough houses. If you tallied up how many homeless people were out there and how many people migrate here,
there is no solution.
And the people that and the politicians that talk about the solutions, in my opinion, is they're just talking heads.
Votes.
It's for votes. It's
Money.
for political money to get pushed because we're dealing with, unfortunately, yes, I'm talking to those of you that are watching right now. Many of you are very, very easily led into a sheep's den to where you're told a narrative. And if the narrative even a little bit goes along with your political viewership,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yes, everything he's saying. But if you really dissect that, and that's the problem why we're going to have a problem getting people to come in here. You can't put them all in jail. So the answer is not let's go round up and arrest all the homeless people.
You can't put them on an island. That's not realistic.
You can't. We can't build houses for them because they're not going to stay there.
No.
Not even if they would stay there, even if that was the answer, there's too many of them.
I think this is my. There will never be a solution. There will only be assistance. Meaning that
I do believe there's a solution. I just don't believe we live in a.
Well,
we would have to go to archaic times for the only. Look, let's say we're talking about a different topic, and we're not talking about homeless. We're going to talk about zombies for a second.
Okay, apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
There we go.
Let's take apocalyptic, catastrophic thing happen. Let's just not. We don't have to jump to a conclusion and say, "Oh, zombies." Let's say it's drug warfare. AI creates a horrible manifestation of a toxic airborne drug that makes us all start going kind of crazy. We're not seeing great, and now once you pull the plug on the economy, you no longer have things like running water, active power, gas stations shut down, supermarkets, pharmacies. You start to see a trickle down of all the things we take for granted. Now, let's say Tony is a severe diabetic. Tony White's a severe diabetic who relies on insulin, daily shots of insulin, daily monitoring to make sure, like, if he even looks at a Snicker bar wrong, his insulin spike, it shoots. If it drops too low, he goes into a catastrophic cold sweat where he might die if he doesn't get these things instantaneous. So when that time comes, not if it comes, when that time does come, and we're in a world where those type of apocalyptic types of situations do exist, we're going to have to band together, and there's more likely going to be groups or herds or things where we all kind of like get in our own little herd, our own little clan, cliques, and we got to travel through the night to stay safe. We got to pillage. We've got to fight for ourselves. When that happens, if Tony is severe insulin and he's dragging the group down, the best thing for the group is to off Tony, because for the greater good. Now that sounds so inhumane. Now we're using Tony as an example, but now imagine you have an autistic child, which we have a lot. There's a lot of autistic children in the world.
Yeah.
If you have an autistic child that does not have the ability to function with any type of social skills, there's different levels of autistic, where some are just minor, but some have to have special care all the way to adult. They got to live in homes.
Cerebral palsy. You have all these
things that affect your state of mind.
Okay.
Where now you're trying to travel through the middle of the night, trying to stay quiet. Your herd doesn't get murdered by an opposing herd, and you've got a child that doesn't know how to stay quiet ever. Do you just kick that mother and the father and the child out of your group or survive on their own? Well, you can do that, but they're not going to last either, because now it's just them. So it would come down to, if you look at the word name, when you have children that were named, animals that have offspring that are born with like defects, they usually eat it. It's brutal. It's brutal. So now we're talking about, we have society that wants to cater care of everybody and everything, and it sounds great. And I'm not saying this will murder everybody that can't handle themselves.
I think I'm saying
we're living a fucking movie, man.
Yeah,
we're living a movie. This movie's been done a million times.
I know.
And people should pay attention to these movies, because the movies will become some sort of a reality at some point. If you are not willing to do what's necessary for the greater good, you're failing. You're failing. Blood is not thicker than water. Hate to tell you, that's a made bullshit lie.
Yeah,
it's easy to say it is, but until you're,
I've had more water closer than blood. So.
I mean, if blood were thicker than water, that would like be saying, let's say you had a child, you were like 15 years old, and you didn't know who the child was, you never met him, To say blood is thicker than water, that'd be like you running into your child 40 years later, not knowing it's your child. You guys just happen to run into each other at a subway. You would have no fucking idea that's your kid.
No.
You wouldn't be like, oh my God, I have a special bond with He's my kid. You wouldn't know, bro.
No.
You would not know it's your kid. Like, if blood is thicker than water, it's this whole thing that we jump. You got to take care of your family. You know, I don't have a lot of family. I have my 2 daughters, which I love to death, but I will tell you that blood is not thicker than water. It came down to it, and one of my kids had to go to save the rest of humanity. Caitlin or Lauren, you're flipping a coin because taking one of you out. You know,
I can imagine Thanksgivings with you.
You know what? But I do. I talk shit. I love my family to death. But at the end of the day, you know, it's easy to live in this fake fantasy, glorious, the sky's blue, the water's blue.
All guided by ethics. The world has put laws in place for those to control people and to make us a civilized society. So,
They made us an obeying society.
well, we are.
I would
Okay,
use the
but
word
you're
civilized.
also, I mean, we're not civilized because
We think we are. We're fucking archaic as fuck, bro.
yeah, we are. Prisons is full of them too, and then people not in prison.
Dude, prison was more respectful than the real world is. You know that? There's more respect in the prison system. If in the prison system, nobody cuts in line because there are rules that you live by in prison.
Yeah.
If we're standing, like, for example, you got phones in prison. In your unit or in your dorm or in your pod or whatever you want to call it, there's usually 2 or 3 phones. They look like pay phones, and you have a special number you put in. It's not like people are standing in line waiting for the phone. It's not like this organized line with roped off. It's basically a group of guys all sitting around using a system of respect. I walk into a group, and let's say there's like 8 people there, and somebody's on the phone, and there's 7 other people waiting around. I'm not just going to assume that those people aren't waiting for the phone. So you just blurt out, who's last on the phone? Somebody's going to go, I'm last. I'm after you. That's that simple. You follow respect like that.
Right. That's the way it should be anyway.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But you get these people, you see it every day on TV with Karens showing I've got a handicap sticker. I should be able to do this and do that. People are using and abusing systems in place left and right because there's no consequences. You don't get punched in the fucking face when you fuck up, because if you do something stupid, I punch you in the face, I go to jail.
Yeah.
But if we took away some of these bullshit laws, and if Tony acted out of line, his friend could go up to him and just slap him once, say, hey, dude, stop doing that because you're reflecting on the rest of us.
Yeah.
You know, very quickly, people do what's in their best interest, which is what's in the group's best interest. Gas, prices on food, jobs, minimum wage. These are all things that we want to do debates on.
Right.
You know, we want to do debates on it, and you can come in here and look. I would say, instead of speaking from like, well, the law says this and the governor says this, instead of speaking from this like
what other people tell you to fucking say.
Right. Instead of regurgitating, use your fucking chrome dome and think for yourself about what makes logical sense.
Yes.
If the world relied on logic, and to say common sense is common, it's just not.
That's not.
There's nothing common about thinking logically and rationally. People are completely irrational and illogic all the time. Is illogic a word? It's not.
It is now.
And if it's not, they know what I mean.
Yeah.
You don't have to come in here with all of the right words, the right verbiage. You're going, oh, well, that's not how
because you
works.
won't find that in.
We should.
I use it wrong. You know, we're gonna fuck up.
The debates in here should be about how things should work.
Should.
From a realistic
One of the biggest things I always said, let's get rid of all the damn laws for a second. Just for a second. Let's get rid of every single law ever written.
What does that look like?
I don't know. A lot of shredders out there, that's for sure. But I mean, all of it because they still have stuff on books from I don't even know how long ago.
Right, like laws that don't make any sense.
Yeah. Let's just take all the laws and rewrite these laws for now. Because what worked 100, 200 years ago does not work in our times at all.
And I think it probably could work in our times. The problem is when you look at like a lot of what you're talking about, it was designed for the way things were then, and also interpreted a certain way.
Right.
You know, when you read something in a book, even a text message, Forget about the Bible for a second. People talk about misinterpretation of the Bible. Of course, it's being misinterpreted. I misinterpret 99% of the text somebody sends me.
Right?
I ask them, hey, what do you want for dinner? Nothing. I already ate. And they say in all caps. I'm like, what? Yelling at me.
Yeah.
So that's one message that I'm reading that I read the wrong way and got my feelings. And I go, well, fuck you. Or well, fuck you. We're fighting over that. Now you've got scripture that's been found off of tablets and scriptstone dating back however many thousands of years, hundreds of years, going back, and it's only being reevaluated. New Testaments and the Newer Testament and the
whatever. I mean, there's the spin-off. There we go.
And it's always so easy because you're able to find the sheep that you cater to what they want to hear. Everybody bitches and complains about gas being so high. Gas is so high. Gas is so high. If everybody just in Washington State for one day, if Washington State as a whole, a singularity, if we all became one person for one day, if we could press a button, everybody taps into whatever Dan says for one day, we're going to do it. Nobody buy gas for a day. That's all. One day, don't buy gas. Prices shoot down. Don't buy milk per day. Don't buy chicken per day.
Yeah.
Everybody go on strike and say, we're not going to work. Prices will go up. I don't agree with that necessarily.
And the people themselves, we control this whole. We don't.
Because
we can't.
We're divided. Because we're divided.
There's many of them.
Mostly now it's by political. Look, you talk to people about COVID, right?
Yeah.
Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. It's very simple. Somebody says, I'll never wear a mask. They're probably Republican. If somebody says, I'm going to wear a mask every day, they're probably a Democrat.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up. It should be based on your political view, whether or not you believe that the mask is saving your life.
It should be on an educated view with facts.
On the facts.
Yeah.
And the facts would probably circle around 99% of the time saying that a mask is not very sensible to cure you. But again, it's not even to say, and I don't want to make the debates about you should or shouldn't wear a mask. I want to hear people be able to back up why they should wear a mask. I'm saving lives. Okay. How are you saving lives? Whose life are you saving?
How is it done?
And just kind of take it to the next step, talking about gender association and how you want to identify. I don't want to have a debate about telling you shouldn't do that.
No, I'm not sure how to run your life right.
I would like to hear somebody's view on why I would be expected to accommodate. Now everybody says, well, why does it matter? Okay, it's not. The point is, it's not whether it matters or not. That's the problem. Is most of the debates I've heard, and these are guys again. If you're interested in coming on here and debating on some of these topics under a more structured environment, text the word debate to 866-349-5488. Go on our notification list where once we have right now we have like 8 people that have already done it. Once we have 15 people, we'll send out a text message to those people that are on the list, and we'll have the first topic. And I'm really thinking the first topic is probably going to be on gender.
I say put everything in a hat. Let's just make a draw.
Well, see, now we're allowing people to have too much of a say in viewing. Like we want people to be able to come on and just have the discussion without. Well, I'm only going to talk about this. I'm not willing to talk about that. You should be willing to talk about anything. And the reason why I want to go with gender on the first one is it's a very hot topic. It's a buzzword. A lot of people get very, very triggered by it. And I would love somebody to come in here and really break down their view, because I have no problem if you want to change your livelihood from a man to a woman or into a man, and you now want to identify who used to be a biological man and now identify as a trans woman, more power to you. All the power to you. I don't understand it. It's not for me to understand.
No.
It's your own personal journey. But I don't know why people are so upset when they're saying you should now identify what I choose.
Right.
Why is that important? And really the only response I ever hear is, why can't you just do it? What's the big deal? Yeah. It's not about whether it's a big deal or not. Why should I have to?
Right.
Where is the line drawn? Should I disagree to everything that I don't agree with? And I'm not hating on the person. I'm not ostracizing them. It doesn't make me a homophobe. I have friends that are LGBTQ community.
My brother.
And I have zero issues with it. I just, when it gets to the point where I have to think about everything I say before I say it, because honestly, I don't give a fuck if I offend you, because my intentions are not to do so.
No,
I'm not doing it to be
taking offense, not me.
disrespectful. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would love to bring in debates on those topics. People are concerned about what we're going to do to maintain like order in here, and basically it's going to be like this conversation
I
right
think
here.
they're overthinking it.
They are
They're
overthinking it
overthinking
because
it big
I
time.
think really people are afraid of getting offended.
Yeah.
They don't want to be offended.
And let me just be really clear on that. If it comes to where you feel that way, there's a door.
Yeah, anybody can get up and leave at any
at
moment.
any time.
But if anybody becomes hateful,
Yeah.
if they start talking over you, we have a mute button. So more than likely,
Yeah.
me or Tony will be behind the desk. We can mute it, just like how they should have done that during the presidential debate. Debates.
With the mute.
Yeah, because Trump nor Biden could shut the fuck up and let the other person talk. And I get it. You get emotional. Passion comes out of you, and that's part of the fun of the debating.
Right.
Is being able to keep yourself in check when somebody's challenging your thought process. If you're not challenging your beliefs and hearing other people's perspectives, you're just walking around aimlessly believing whatever it is you've been told because it's the narrative that you want to swallow. I grew up most of my life as Democrat. I hate to say I didn't switch to Republican. I have a lot of Republican views, probably more Republican views than I do Democratic, but I also have a lot of leftist views. Like when it comes to my body, my choice, I do believe women should have the choice, but I don't believe I was also for when the
Wade versus
Supreme Court, when the Supreme Court overruled that, because they didn't overrule and say no, women don't have a choice. They just said this is not the Supreme Court's place. We're not going to make it for you. We're stepping out of this fight. If you live in Washington, go to your Congress in Washington, cast your votes there.
Individual state.
Just
like smoking marijuana.
Yep.
Making that legal or not.
And
it should be.
People went into an uproar. Now, the people that were against pro-choice, that thought it was pro-life, they loved it.
Yeah.
Because it catered. But again, I didn't agree because I'm a Republican pro-choice. I believe you should have the choice.
I believe so too. Once again, it's not my business.
It's not today, but it could be. You're getting a vasectomy next month, so it won't be. Oh, is that a secret?
No, it's already happened. So.
Oh, cheers. Vasectomy club.
That's already over.
I remember you were talking about it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think people should have that choice, be able to talk about it without being worried about what other people are going to think. The world is a very complicated place, and there's just, no matter how you look at it, there's a lot of irresponsible young adults, irresponsible adults that probably are not in a position to be having babies. And yes, they should have thought about that before, but I mean, come on, let's be real. We've all been there.
I'm still for you do what you want. My opinion is this: if shit happens like rape, molestation, stuff like that, incest, I believe. I believe on multiple things. I still believe it's their choice, but I've seen some horror stories too. I'm double-sided. It's a double-edged sword because sometimes I believe sometimes the man might be a good father too, even if the mother doesn't want it. I mean, I understand it's their body, but some people just use that as a form of birth control.
And that's where the problem is going to play. Is the argument has become when you hear the argument from the side of pro-life, the pro-choicers will say, "Well, now you're telling me if I was raped or these when that's not the normal." Most people that
when they've been harmed,
right? Most people that end up pregnant, most people that are going to get pregnant in 2024, it's not going to be from rape. It's just not going to be the majority. It's
not the majority.
I can state it's not even going to be a fraction of the majority that it's going to be from rape or from like non-consensual sex. Now it does happen, but that's not the reason why it was overturned. That's these are the excuses that the left will push down your throat because they're trying to pass an agenda of voters saying, and the same thing from the right side. The right side wants to say, well, everybody having babies that wants an abortion must have been irresponsible. That's not the case either. There's plenty of people that are responsible adults that get pregnant that just fucking don't want to have kids. They're in a life where they don't want to have them yet. And when you start taking these rights away from people, we're getting closer and closer and closer to you're only allowed to wear red, white, and blue clothes.
Yeah.
If you don't have blonde, if you're not blonde hair and blue eyed, we're gonna put you in a gas chamber.
It's a slippery slope when you want to be dictatorship and when it's socialist countries. I mean, you want to be socialist, but I mean, all I'm saying
There's got to be balance, man.
No, there should be balance. There's a scale. Yeah, it should be balanced. Otherwise, one goes like this, right? But there's see, that's one topic I can just abortion to me. Even I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot of things I'm for it and against it because I still think it should be a dude's decision too. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, in a perfect world, I mean, I can see where you come from on that, but at the same time,
well,
ultimately, there's always an opportunity that the woman could die in birth.
yes,
In every case,
yes,
in every case, the opportunity exists.
yes.
So therefore,
There's something wrong.
I feel I lose my. I can vote I can give you my thought, my process, and my opinions, but ultimately, I don't think I should personally have a say whether or not a woman chooses or chooses not to,
Mm-hmm.
because it does affect them differently, not just emotionally, physically, it affects them differently than it can affect me. It's just something that I can't comprehend because I can't go through what they're going through. Now, I still agree with your. I don't agree. I appreciate your view on it because your view does make sense.
All right.
It does.
Well, I
Because
don't
you're
think you
part
should
of
be able
because
to
you're part
lock
of the
down a
creation.
guy for be a father and pay child support. Don't get me wrong, I believe fathers should pay child support. But at the same token, I'm just saying, if you decide to get a kid and the husband or the man doesn't want to have a kid, and then you have to go through with having a kid, I don't know about the child support thing. Man. It's like,
I think that's a
I mean, that's a different type of study. If they want to be involved, yes. If not, well, sign off on it.
I think that's a debatable issue because
I've had full custody of all three.
somebody's trying to hack Facebook right now. I get my Facebook hacked like every day.
I change my web password all the time.
There's con artists out there. It's probably somebody watching.
Probably
Oh
is.
damn! I'm gonna get them.
Password 123.
With the man being tied down to this again, I think it comes down to, unfortunately, that's never gonna fly. Whether
Oh.
and these are great topics. I would love to hear somebody's side of these things. So yeah, guys, if you're interested in the office and having a somewhat of an organized debate,
Somewhat
having a very organized, disorganized debate off the cusp,
fun.
with the promise of no one's going to get hurt. I can't promise your feelings aren't going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to lock the door behind you. You can
Nope.
get up and walk out at any moment. We will not tolerate any act of violence. We won't any threats. We won't tolerate even intimidation. Like, you're not going to
No.
get up and put your hand in someone's face.
Nope.
That will be shut down. And,
If they hear cuss at somebody,
you'll,
I do.
you'll be.
Yes.
But I do believe that as human beings, as adults, we should be able to have these conversations where we disagree without losing our shit.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think. I think we live in a soft era
Very soft.
where you threaten somebody with offending their beliefs, you might as well be shooting in the face as far as they look at it.
Yeah.
So that's
The end of the world.
Of the world. As we know it.
Yep.
So yeah. So today this was kind of a test. We wanted to test the new equipment out, test the new setup. Sorry about the audio issues in the beginning. But let us know if you're interested. Text the word debate 866-349-5488, and we'll be happy to have you come on. Tony, thank you for joining me today. You guys don't get to see Tony too often. He's usually back there pressing buttons.
Yeah.
But that's Tony right there.
Ooh la la.
That's Tony White. Look at Tony White. Fire. Our fire button. It was playing.
It was playing. You gotta push play.
Where's the?
You gotta go on this.
Go
I don't know what that is.
here.
Oh, now you're missing.
There
Yeah,
we
man. That's how it's open.
It was, but
Oh, there
there
we
we go.
Ooh.
Dan and Tony are going to hell.
It's getting warm in here.
All right, guys. Well,
it's the Tony and Dan road.
Yeah. Well, to all of you, and Thursday we have the Fat Pastor, who's a local celebrity here in Yakima. He was on
Not being rude.
Yeah, the fat, and
We're
that's,
not
that's
being
really what he
rude.
goes by. The fat pastor is going to be joining us live in the studio. So that should be a fun interview to hear if he's got some thoughts and topics on this, if he's willing to go there.
Well, I guess
So
we
guys,
can see.
all right, Tony. Well, we'll see everybody in
All
a
right.
couple days.
Peace.
Bye, everybody. Find out how to turn this thing off. Here we go.
Off button.